has suffered and learnt its lessons and tackled terror, but more importantly, how the world needs to do more. Very crucially, for the first time perhaps for the public eye, 26/11 terror evidence. The 26/11 terror attack evidence based out of Pakistan. The entire operation was carried out from a Pakistan-based, Karachi-based control room. All that was shared, including audio clips, for the world community to see the kind of complicity that the Pakistani deep state had with the 26/11 terror attack in Mumbai in the year 2008, in which almost a dozen odd citizens of a dozen odd nations, including the United States, United Kingdom, and Germany and Israel, lost their lives. Very importantly, India told the world that the 5 mobile phones used by perpetrators of the 26/11 terror attacks came from China and were assembled with the explosives and other material and given to the terrorists in Karachi, from where Pakistani army major was embedded in the control room and monitored the operation, guided the terrorists. All that crucial terror evidence of 26/11 attacks shared with the world for the first time in public. Major K.K. Sinha joining us live, I believe. General Sinha, welcome. Counter-Terrorism Committee, United Nations Security Council meeting going on in Mumbai. And most crucially, India has shared very important evidence of 26/11 terror attacks, which directly implicates the Pakistani army, the Pakistani deep state, and even China in it. You think this is going to have an impact insofar as consensus in dealing with terror is concerned around the world?
Abhishek, Jai Hind. You asked me whether it is going to make a dent. It is going to make a huge dent. You know, this United Nations Security Council counter-terrorism meeting, which is happening first time, it is a rare opportunity and a great opportunity. And India, which is actually spearheading, the crusade of fighting the terrorism, started in 2001 when we questioned of defining the terrorism itself. And today in 2022, you are witnessing that, a rare, a very organized, a very focused, a synergetic meet which is taking place. Earlier, we were, just having the lip service. Everyone had a different perception. India, you take it. It is not only rare, it's the rarest of rare, opportunity which India got it, and we are using it very, very well. Not only the role of Pakistan and China, the way the India is also questioning and trying and suggesting the UN role, and also FATF, the way the FATF has been working and, providing some relief and some targeted relief, and how it can be further improved. India is giving a very holistic and wholesome approach to fight the terrorism, which is the global phenomena as on today. I think it is you asked me, it is not only reviewing the, what is there. We are not only exposing to 26/11, but we are telling how a country like China, from where the mobile phones get assembled, how, the things of cybercrime is going on, how the use of drone, what is the role of China in this, the role of Pakistan, which is the epicenter of terrorism.
Sir, also in the presentations, the presentations that were made, I'll have to go to Niranjan. He's reporting live. Just stay back with us, sir. I'll come back to you with more questions, but I have to go to the Taj, where Niranjan is reporting live from. Niranjan, over to you. What more can you share us about what's happening there on the ground?
Well, Abhishek, one of the big takeaways, and it's so right, because while the MEA secretaries were speaking and the representatives of the Indian government were speaking, one of the points that were made is how in this city since the last 3 we've had the Bombay blast of 1993, when over 300 people were killed in over 14 serial blasts. 14 years ago in the hotel where this event is being held, this symbolic event, and you heard all those testimonies, Abhishek. You've been listening to each one of them, not just victims of the 26/11 terror attack, but even those Indians who've been victims of terror attacks across the world, including in countries like Belgium, etc. Now, the takeaway from here is that I think India is aggressively pushing for sanctions and pushing for action against countries that not just supply countries that support and back the terror infrastructure. I think some of the biggest takeaways, were the clear and direct mentions of China. Without naming China, of course, the Chinese, Chinese equipment that were used in 26/11, talking about China's backing of the terrorists and the blocking of the designation of these global terrorists. And then you had India, how since the delisting of FATF of Pakistan from the grey list became apparent since late 2020, the number of terror attacks are on the rise. I think India is aggressively pushing the UN and the global community to sort of wake up and ensure that there is some sort of a mechanism that is a mandatory on countries like Pakistan, for example, to not just pull wool over all our eyes in the global community, but to ensure that there is actually no groupism, for example, like what happens at the UN. Until 4 to 5 days back, you had China blocking the designation of another global, and they've done that again and again, from Hafiz Saeed's son to even Sajid Mir. Terrorists. I think, Abhishek, this is in asking for this UN counter here at the Taj. It's symbolic, and it means that India is aggressive to focus on these terror nations like Pakistan. Abhishek, I'm handing it over to you. You've also been listening to some of those speeches. Just to tell our viewers some of the points that India has put very aggressively this morning here at the Taj at the UN Counter-Terror Committee meeting. They've put out proof against Pakistan point by point, from Pakistan's state-sponsored terror planning, plotting, execution of terror attacks to their terror exporting in Kashmir. They even mentioned the attacks on Kashmiri Pandits. They mentioned religious minorities. And who's in the audience? You have UN member nations, UNSC member nations, the 15 member countries, and India heading this one. It's a symbolic meeting, perhaps for the first time since 2015, if I'm not wrong, that it's held outside of Europe. And the fact that it's being held here at the Taj in Mumbai, 14 years after 26/11, is symbolic. This is making, there are several headlines that are coming out of it, Abhishek.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Niranjan. We have put the perpetrators of terror and those backing them, shielding them, protecting them on the mat, and for the world community to really look in the eye, because the kind of evidence that has been produced before them for the first time in public domain, I think this dilly-dallying, this dithering, this indulgence, this winking that we see sometimes, that has to really end. So, for example, those who made presentations on behalf of India, including our intelligence officials, they made it amply clear that I can hear the PCR, and they made it very clear that the mechanisms at the FATF, for example, while they work, are very effective. But if they are, if they are indulged with, then they can have consequences. So, for example, a presentation was made, Niranjan, I'll go to General Sinha on that note, that till 2017, when Pakistan was not grey listed by FATF, the number of terror attacks that took place in the valley were much higher. Subsequent to grey listing of Pakistan, the constraints that were put on terror financing, the number of terror attacks became a trickle. And now, as a build-up to this information only, General Sinha, this is very important, and I would need your intervention on that. A presentation was made, and the world was told that as a build-up to the occasion when Pakistan was taken out of grey list and white-listed, so to say, the number of terror attacks have increased. So this perception that Pakistan would be out of the grey list, off the hook, emboldened the terror network within Pakistan, and they started, fomenting trouble even more, even before Pakistan was taken out of the grey list. So I think in that sense, General Sinha, it's important that the world community appreciates this evidence, and that might have been the purpose why India really shared all that in black and white when they are here, and at that occasion where they are at the Taj, which is an iconic place, which has been target of terror attack during 26/11.
Yeah, Abhishek, absolutely. The way the MEA secretary he has put across, and very, very systematically. He started from 2014 when he said there were 5 attacks, then it has gone to 8, then 15. And then how it came down, because the way the India was doing it in 2018, 3. And then 19, there was an unfortunate, that is the Pulwama, he said. After that, what he said, Then in 2018, the Pakistan was put in the grey list. And it has come down because of that. And then what we did, the Balakot, absolutely things were. Now the Pakistan is again put, out of the grey list. And the way the things are happening, they have given evidence with a very systematic and a very thorough research thing, on black and white. So it is to the world, because today the world is taking the note of it, and the world is going through this global terrorism.
Yeah.
So this terrorism,
sir,
it is not just.
We're getting some more
India.
pictures from the Taj where the event is taking place. Sir, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but I'll come back. We'll continue to have this conversation, but I have to go to Niranjan briefly. I think Niranjan has some update from Taj where he's reporting from. Niranjan.
Well, I also wanted to, highlight how India, as Jaishankar, when he spoke this morning, he spoke, I think, on two occasions after paying tribute to the victims of 26/11. He made a strong point that India's fight against terror continues. He says the task is unfinished. I think that's the line, Abhishek, that the task in fighting terror is unfinished. And that's why India is aggressively trying to put the facts, and in recent past we've never seen an event or an attempt by India on this scale to highlight how Pakistan has gotten away and has tried to sort of hoodwink the entire world with facts, with presentation, and with some of the biggest ambassadors of the world in attendance and watching and taking note. I think this becomes all the more significant. There are several headlines. Before we go across and tell you some of the big takeaways, I'd like to play out what S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, said after paying tribute to the victims of 26/11 at the Taj. This is where it all started on 26/11, about 14 years back. Take a listen.
Excellency, Mr. Michael Musa Adamo, Honorable Foreign Minister of the Gabonese Republic and President of the UN Security Council, heads of delegations of the UN Security Council member states, Excellencies. 14 years ago, on 26 November 2008, the city of Mumbai was witness to one of the most shocking terror attacks of our times. 140 Indian nationals and 26 citizens of 23 other countries lost their lives in a period of 4 days. In fact, this entire city was held hostage by terrorists who had entered from across the border. If much worse was averted, it was only because they ran into the collective resolve of Indian security forces, brave civilians, and the security and staff of this very Taj Hotel. All of them fought back valiantly in their own ways to ensure that the forces of evil were finally defeated. 18 members of the Indian police forces, 12 members of the Taj Hotel staff and security were martyred in the line of duty. As we pay tribute to them at this 26/11 memorial site, we salute their valor and resolve. We all recall that the victims included ordinary Mumbaikars going about their daily lives at the Chhatrapati Maharaj Terminus railway station, the patients, doctors and nursing staff at the Kama Hospital, the guests and staff of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, of Cafe Leopold and the Oberoi Trident Hotel, the Chabad House where baby Moshe's parents were killed, and innocent bystanders on the streets. It was not just an attack on Mumbai, but an attack on the international community. Nationals of specific countries were identified before being murdered. As a result, the commitment of each and every member state of the United Nations to combat terrorism stood publicly challenged. Since then, we have endeavored to bring the masterminds and the perpetrators of this attack to justice. This task remains unfinished. Therefore, the coming together of the UNSC's Counter-Terrorism Committee to this venue is both special and significant. I thank all members of the Security Council and other member states who have joined us today in an expression of solidarity, Together, we should send out the message that the international community will never give up on holding terrorists accountable and delivering justice. 26/11 will never, ever be forgotten.
Thank you for staying with us. We're taking a short break here on Republic TV. When we come back, getting you the details of the UN terror meeting that is being held in Mumbai at a symbolic time, at a symbolic location. We're at the Taj, where one of the world's biggest terror attacks took place 14 years ago. India is making a tough point in battling global terror. Taking a short break, back with the live coverage.
Style? For me, it's the pursuit of timeless elegance. Crisp, clean, classic, subtle brilliance. You don't know what it is that catches your eye, but it does, you know. The cut, the color, the lines. There's something in the essence of the evergreen. You feel special, selected. That's when I know I found the right fit, when I feel selected.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper in half a dozen districts of the state, and the refusal thereof is resulting in the rape of their mothers to settle financial disputes on the diktats of caste panchayats. The National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC, has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report in this regard.
The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that in some districts of Rajasthan, the caste panchayats are very active in redressal of disputes, and especially in the matters where somebody has taken a loan and is unable to pay back the loan. So the caste.
In other top international news, gunmen attack.
Welcome back. You're watching the live coverage of the UN terror meeting. This is the UNSC Counter-Terror Committee meeting that is being held in Mumbai. It's a symbolic meeting being held at a very symbolic location at the Taj, the location that was targeted by Pakistani terrorists 14 years ago, where over 160 people died. Indians, innocent Mumbaikars, foreign nationals, many of whom at this location where we are reporting from. You heard some very powerful speeches from the Indian External Affairs Minister, members of the Indian External Affairs Ministries, secretaries, India's envoy to the United Nations. And the one point that India is trying to make from Mumbai at the location that was targeted is that there is enough proof, enough evidence. And despite the evidence, and in the course of the last few hours, you've had tapes being played out, you've had testimonies of some of the survivors of the 26/11 attacks. You've had proof in the form of evidence that was collected over the last 14 years and more being shared with an international audience, including ambassadors, decision makers at the UN counter-terror mechanism, where India is trying to make that point that despite the evidence that has been available with the global community, there is very little accountability as far as countries like Pakistan and China go. The reason why India is even questioning countries like China is because of the technical support that they've given to countries like Pakistan, for example, in trying to stall the designation of some of the world's most wanted terrorists, ensuring that they are not designated at all. India has even gone on to put out some facts in front of the UN Terror Committee to ensure that the world takes note of how there is a pattern to Pakistan's export of terror with the help of slides. And let me go across to Abhishek as well, getting a word from Abhishek as we get you some of the headlines from here. Abhishek, you heard those tapes, you heard the testimonies, and I think the entire focus of India has been since this morning to put the focus on the inaction. And I think the word used by one of the speakers from India is how there is a grouping. Sometimes there is a grouping that is allowed to call the shots in bodies like the UN and the FATF, especially India, talking about the ineffectiveness of the FATF with facts, talking about how from 2017 to late 2021 there was almost a decline in terror activity, for example, across the border, just to ensure that they get delisted. And just when they know they're going to be delisted, there is a spike across the border, putting out details of where these terror camps are and how since late 2021 there is an uptick in the number of attacks, not just attacks but terror activity as well. In the larger scheme of things, I think, Abhishek, it's been one of the most aggressive campaigns by India to expose countries like Pakistan and China with facts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the larger event is very well curated, Niranjan, but the presentations were fantastic. They had an element of sophistication. They had those, graphs and Excel sheets and, mix and match of information with global events, geopolitical events, connecting the dots. So the presentations really brought in proper contrast the connections between terror financing, those harboring terrorism, those shielding terrorism, those who oblige terror networks and just in some ways help in perpetrating those terror networks. So you rightly picked up the fact that in the presentation made by Intelligence Bureau's Safir Rizvi, he clearly showed that even before Pakistan was whitelisted, just this information that Pakistan would be out of the grey list emboldened these terrorist elements within the Pakistani society, of course protected by the Pakistani state, to increase terror activity, not just within Pakistan but outside as well. We have seen a spike happening in Kashmir, which had really tapered off post-2017 once Pakistan was grey-listed in 2018. So I think this has been amazing. Also, the sophistication with which all the tech evidence that has been part of Mumbai terror charge sheets, Niranjan, the clip, for example, of Sajid Mir, the role of a Pakistan Army major, they sitting in a Karachi control room, directly guiding the terrorists who had come to Mumbai, and the fact that 5 mobile phones came from China that were being carried out by those terrorists who were communicating directly with Sajid Mir and the Pakistani major in the Karachi control room. I think this is fantastic. This is amazing. This really puts Pakistan and China on the map, and this really tells the world that this is what the cost of indulgence is. Remember, just about an hour back, all these people who were sitting in the hall and looking at those presentations paid their respects to the victims of 26/11 terror attack and the martyrs, and for them now to in any manner indulge with terror, disown, wink, look other way would not be possible, hopefully. And that's why India said that the FATF mechanisms need to be reviewed in a manner that the listings are more professional. They are not based on whims and fancies of changing quicksands of global geopolitical environment. We have seen Pakistan's whitelisting in some ways connected with the American, change in the perception of America that Pakistan perhaps is becoming more relevant again post their leaving Afghanistan. So I think those things really need to be looked into, and India there clearly telling that Pakistan continues to harbor terrorists. We have shown pictures. The pictures were shown. Also review the mechanisms of FATF, and a message to China that there are many other terrorists who need to be terrorists
through the UN 1267 committee. All relevant parties should support these designations. No nation should stand in their way. Beyond ensuring full accountability for 2611, we also have a responsibility to prevent future attacks like it. That requires addressing new and emerging threats, such as terrorists increasing abuse of technologies and the internet to finance and plan attacks, store assets, and radicalize and recruit members. The United States is working with the private sector to address these vulnerabilities, from getting financial technology companies to enhance and enforce policies aimed at preventing their illicit use, to helping platforms ensure that they're not hosting terrorist content and spreading hate. But we can't do it alone, and we're ready to work with all governments, multilateral bodies, and companies in this effort. Minister Jaishankar, fellow council members, as we reflect on the immeasurable loss of 2611, let it be a reminder to all of us of our unfinished work in holding accountable the perpetrators of its horrors and averting future terrorist attacks like it on any of our people, anywhere. Thank you.
I thank Secretary Blinken for his statement, and I now invite Her Excellency Ms. Reem Ibrahim Al-Hashimi, Minister of State for International Cooperation of the United Arab Emirates, to deliver her statement. Excellency, I invite you to the podium.
Well, you just heard Anthony Blinken. You just heard Anthony Blinken's message there. America also joining in this battle against terror. In fact, it's important to underline how the UNCTC came into being. This was after the 9/11 attacks, and one of the big mentions that India made. In fact, the Indian secretary signed off by highlighting how symbolic targets have been chosen by terrorists to target India in the past. For example, they spoke about the parliament attack. They spoke about how assemblies have been targeted in India. The Red Fort was targeted. And this is to highlight how, like in 9/11, this is India's fight. And they spoke of, and Anthony Blinken, one of the things you just heard him say now is that we must make sure that such attacks never take place. And in the last few days, let's look at what's happened Diplomatically, India, along with America, has tried to pile on the pressure on Pakistan. We've tried to put a block on and ensure that people like Talha Saeed, people like Sajid Mir, people like Zakir Rahman Lakwi, all of these terrorists are designated as global terrorists. China's come up with a technical block to ensure that India doesn't succeed in doing that. So India has made it clear in the last few days. In fact, we have categorically used this phrase again and again since 2611. I still remember that was one of the first times that Pakistan tried to draw a distinction. It was then only Pakistan trying to draw a distinction between good and bad terror. You remember that, Abhishek? And even today, when a country like China tries to sort of shield terrorists, India has made it clear, without of course naming China, that countries who also try and shield terror groups and terrorists are also as equally culpable. I'm not very sure, but if we do find a Chinese representative at this meeting, and I'm sure there is one, we will try and put that question to. It will be interesting to see what they have to say about China's block. China, while it likes to participate in these events, has also been instrumental in backing and giving Pakistan the diplomatic support and help that it needs. You've had so many powerful testimonies since this morning. Some of the survivors of the 2611 attack, in fact, one young girl who spoke about how she witnessed the attack. She was a victim. Family members were witnesses to the attack, and she angrily mentioned how she was furious to see that the masterminds of this attack are still alive in Pakistan, being shielded, and we speak about combating terror. It's one of the biggest themes every time we speak at global forums. We speak about combating terror, and yet some of the masterminds and perpetrators, conspirators of the biggest attacks are unpunished. Look what happened, for example, in the case of Zakir Rahman Lakwi. Until 2021 November, he was arrested, let off, and then picked up once again just towards the end of November 2021, if I'm not wrong, just so that Pakistan would be delisted. Just when they're facing trouble, they make these arrests to sort of give the world the impression that they're acting against terror, and then there you go again. People like Zakir Rahman Lakwi are released. And this is a game that Pakistan has played very, very well with China. And like India mentioned at this UN terror meeting, it's about time that you have a mechanism to ensure that it's not just a grouping that can decide, but there are norms that are adhered to so that countries like Pakistan don't get away, especially vis-a-vis the FATF mechanism. Abhishek.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think India did really well to underscore the kind of dissonance we see sometimes on dealing with terror between various nations, or the kind of pulls and pressures that this otherwise global evil is subject to, because of which these terror networks, these individual terrorists, these states backing terror, they sort of fall off the loop and go off the hook. And that's the reason why we presented the kind of evidence that we did. This is all part of court papers based on which convictions have happened. In fact, Ajmal Kasab was hanged till death because of this evidence. And there are many still in Pakistan, Sajid Mir being one of them, the Pak Major being another, and of course going right up to Hafiz Saeed, who are still to be brought to book, but for one reason or the other, connected with geopolitics, connected with individual equations between nations, connected with sometimes lack of resolve, if nothing else. These issues remain unaddressed, and that's what the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, focused the spotlight on, and the fact of India asking for review of FATF mechanisms, the fact of India asking for more designations of global terrorists, the fact of India wanting the world community to strengthen its resolve to deal with these issues, and for everyone really to appreciate this evidence in its entirety and with neutrality. I think those are very important takeaways from the presentations made by India between our agency officials from agencies, and then of course External Affairs Minister Niranjan. Of course, also let's not forget that before these presentations are made, and the other nations would also be giving in their own inputs. We saw Antony Blinken, Secretary of State of the United States, making that address just a while back, and before that, of course, the UNSG, Antonio Guterres, calling it evil. If that clarity is there and this evidence is there, then the two have to really come together and reflect in the kind of actions we take place, and the kind of whitelisting of Pakistan that has happened cannot be allowed. So I think with a lot of sophistication and not sounding rancorous, India presented all the evidence for the world to see and to take a decision on where things go from here. The setting could not have been more somber and more indicative and more symbolic, being at the iconic Taj from where you are reporting, Niranjan, which was the center of the 26/11 terror attack, masterminded by Pak-based terror organizations and incubated by the Pakistani deep state, all those having been unraveled by India before the world. For the first time, Niranjan, this is going to really trend all the day, because this is the first time we have shared this kind of evidence publicly on an international platform for the world to see the complicity of Pakistan and the indulgence of China. Remember, it was mentioned that 5 mobile phones that were being used by these terror operatives to perpetrate the 26/11 attack came from China. So I think that's the global element, and the world has to really sit up and take note of the struggles of India and the exact evidence given, the connections given, the connecting the dot that happened between FATF actions and its fallout on Kashmir terror, on Afghan terror, on global terror. I think the world has to really be very open-minded about appreciating this evidence once it has been shared now in public domain. Niranjan.
Well, absolutely, and as we continue to broadcast live, it will be our top focus here on Republic TV. We will never forget those images from 14 years ago from this location where we are reporting from, the Burning Dome, Abhishek, You still remember people running helter-skelter when the attack took place at the CST, the first images of Ajmal Kasab. Our brave officers of the Mumbai police are fighting back those terrorists and those who were martyred in those attacks, people running out of the Taj Hotel, shots being fired from outside the Taj Hotel. Now, these are images that are etched in our memory. And as we continue to focus on what India is trying to highlight at the UN terror meeting, I'd like to play out some of the testimonies of some of the survivors of not just the 26/11 terror attack. There are Indians who've been victims and survivors of terror attacks across the world, which have been masterminded by these terror groups. For example, you had a victim from the Belgium, the Brussels airport attack, who also spoke at this event this morning. Some of the testimonies now, let's play them out.
Ms. Maggie Fino, Deputy Minister for Europe, Victims and Survivors of Terrorism.
All right, we'll just okay. I'm just going to play out some of the testimonies for our viewers. You had survivors of the 26/11 speak about what they saw that night, what they witnessed, and why they continue to raise questions about how the global community has dealt with the aftermath of the 26/11 attack. You had baby Moshe, who was then a child, an adult now, speaking. Let's play those testimonies out, please.
אנשים ונשים יקרים, נציגים של כל אומות העולם במועצת הביטחון, שלום וברכה. שמי מוישי אולצברג מישראל. הייתי תינוק בן 2 לפני 14 שנה. גרתי עם ההורים היקרים שלי, גבי ורבקי, כאן במומביי, בנערי מנאות. ההורים שלי בנו כאן בית חב"ד בשליחות הרבי מלובביץ'. בית חם ופתוח לכל אדם, יהודים ושאינם יהודים. האומנת שלי סנדרה השכיבה אותי לישון כשלפתע נשמעו צרור יריות. מחבלים התפרצו לבניין שלנו וירו לכל עבר. הם רצחו את ההורים האהובים שלי ועוד 4 אורחים שהיו בבית חב"ד. סנדרה הצילה אותי מהתופת במסירות נפש. תודה לך השם הטוב. נשארתי יתום בלי אבא ואמא. סבא וסבתא שלי היקרים, הרב שמעון ויהודית רוזנברג.
मेरा नाम देविका नटवला रोटावन है। मैं मुंबई में रहती हूँ। 3rd ईयर बैचलर ऑफ आर्ट्स की स्टूडेंट हूँ।
Good morning, everyone. My name is Devika Rotawane. I am a resident of Mumbai, and I am a student of 3rd year graduation.
26/11/2008 की रात मैं मेरे फैमिली के साथ, मेरे पापा, मेरे भाई और मैं, हम तीनों पूना जाने वाले थे मेरे बड़े भाई को मिलने। CST स्टेशन हम कुछ 9:30 बजे के आसपास पहुंचते। वहाँ सडनली एक बॉम्ब स्पॉट होता है। अचानक से गोली फायरिंग होने लगती है, लोग भागने लगते। मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि आखिर वहाँ हो क्या रहा है। मेरे भाई भी अलग डायरेक्शन में भाग जाते हैं।
On the evening of 26 November, she was supposed to travel to Pune with her family, and that's why she has reached the Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji terminal. On that fateful night, she saw bullets being fired, and along with her father, they ran for cover.
मैं मेरे पापा के साथ भागने की कोशिश करती हूँ। हम भागने की कोशिश करते, वैसे एक गोली आके मेरे राइट पैर में लग जाती है। तभी मैं वहाँ एक शख्स को देखती हूँ जिसके हाथ में बड़ी सी गन है और वह अंधाधुंध गोली फायरिंग कर रहा है।
While we were trying to take cover and trying to seek shelter, a bullet hit my leg, and then we saw this dreadful face of a terrorist who was firing indiscriminately.
मैं बेहोश हो जाती हूँ। वहाँ से मुझे जेजे हॉस्पिटल लेके गए। वहाँ मेरा करीबन 6 ऑपरेशन हुआ। मेरे पैर से गोली निकाला गया। मेरी पैर की हड्डी टूट चुकी थी।
She fainted. She was taken to the hospital. She was operated upon, and the bullet taken out of her injured leg.
जब मेरी उम्र 9 साल 11 महीने की थी, जिस दिन मुझे गोली लगी,
She was 9 years, 11 months when she was shot.
मुझे मुंबई ऑफिसर से कॉल आया गया कि आप कोर्ट में आके आइडेंटिफाई करोगे। हमने बोला हाँ। मेरे पापा ने दोनों आतंकवादी को देखा था और मैंने कसाब को। 10 जून 2009 को मैं और मेरे पापा ने जाके कोर्ट में कसाब को आइडेंटिफाई किया।
Subsequently, she received a call from the local police asking if she would be willing to testify against the terrorist who was caught in India. She checked with her parents and then they went across to the judicial courts and submitted their testimony.
तब से मेरा एक ही सपना है कि मैं एक पढ़ लिख के ऑफिसर बनूं और पूरे टेररिज्म को खत्म करूं।
Since then, she's had one singular dream to study, become hopefully a police officer and end the scourge of terrorism.
छब्बीस 11 हमला हमारे देश में 3 दिन तक चला था मुंबई में। उन 3 दिनों में हमने हमारे देश के कहीं ऑफिसर, कहीं बेस्ट से बेस्ट ऑफिसर खो दिया गए, कहीं लोग मारे गए, कहीं लोग घायल हुए। हमें पूरा इंसाफ जब मिलेगा जब वो टेररिज्म पूरा खत्म होगा। जो आज भी मास्टरमाइंड जिंदा है, ना जाने उनके मन में क्या प्लानिंग होगा हमारे देश में या कहीं और जाके हमला करने का। मैं यही चाहती हूँ कि ऐसा हमला कहीं पर भी ना हो।
Thank you. The attacks lasted 3 to 4 days. Many brave policemen and armed forces lost their lives. She feels that proper justice would only be served when terrorism is completely eliminated from the face of this planet.
मैं यूएन के मेंबर से सभी से रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहती हूँ और अपने इंडियन गवर्नमेंट से कि ऐसे आतंकवाद के खिलाफ कड़ी से कड़ी कानून बनाया जाए कि कोई भी आतंकवाद हमारे देश में या कहीं पर भी हमला करने के पहले 100 बार सोचे कि किसी की भी जान ना लिया जाए।
It is important that the UN and the international community makes the strictest laws to ensure that such acts don't happen ever again.
मुझे यहाँ इनवाइट करने के लिए आप सभी को थैंक यू। जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय महाराष्ट्र।
Honorable Minister for External Affairs of India, Shri S. Jaishankar ji, Honorable Members of the United Nations Security Council, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to extend my gratitude to Madam Ruchira Kamboj, Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations, for inviting me over to be a part of this in memoriam. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nadi Chafiker. I was an air hostess with Jet Airways. I loved my job as flying crew as it made me feel limitless in skies. Until one such day changed my life forever. I lost my job, my passion, as I was injured in a bomb blast, and I am currently unemployed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm one of the victims of the terrorism and a survivor of the deadliest terror attack which took place in the history of Belgium on March 22, 2016 at Brussels. The blast left me extensively injured and I had to be kept in induced coma. Every day, my family was living with that pain of uncertainty as I was struggling between life and death. After 23 days of being in coma, I opened my eyes. Unfortunately, I could not even recognize my family members who were watching my excruciating pain and were my only support system. That was the effect and the trauma inflicted on me. I had lost my memory, but that's not the all. My body sustained nearly 20% burns. Some of my muscles were scooped, few of my bones got crushed, some bones got dissolved. I suffer from tinnitus, partial loss of hearing, my eardrums are damaged, resulting a pressure leak from my inner ear, which may cost me hearing loss in future. I still have many sharpeners, metal sharpeners, embedded in my body, with the one in my eye orbit. There's a fear that it could cost me my vision. To overcome the blast injuries, I had to undergo 22 surgeries, and few more may follow going ahead. The list is too long for me to mention. The trauma and its effects live with me every moment. Fortunately, being more determined than most others, I decided to assist those who did not have the confidence to celebrate life. This is the reason why I wrote a book named Unbroken, which illustrates how strong we have been created by God and how weak we tend to behave in difficult situations. My sufferings could be lesser or more, or could be different from many other victims of such circumstances. But one thing which remains common among all of us is the pain. We, as victims of terrorism, often struggle to have our voices heard. The fear of being forgotten and the fright of the sufferings going unnoticed. I believe our stories are powerful tools. Our experiences must be shared with the people to guide them to respect humanity and togetherness, and in turn to achieve peaceful society, promote harmony, tolerance and brotherhood. This in memoriam is convened to commemorate the victims of terrorism. It is the primary responsibility of the member states to support the victims of terrorism, to uphold and protect their rights, to help them recover from trauma, to fulfill their immediate and long-term requirements. Excellencies, to have this more prudent on the system, on behalf of the martyred victims, their families and the surviving victims of terrorism, I request and appeal to the representatives of the member states, the distinguished dignitaries and other authorities to accord the victims of terrorism with the same benefits as provided to the national security forces. It would truly help the victims of terrorism to cope with their difficulties, would help them to recover from physical, psychological, social or financial hardships.
Taking a short break here on Republic TV. Stay tuned as we continue the coverage on the terror meeting that is being conducted in Mumbai. This is the UNCTC terror meeting, putting the focus on the need to combat global terror, especially put countries like Pakistan and China on the mat. Taking a short break. Stay tuned.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years. With top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Billionaire Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter and fired the social media company's 4 top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and legal executive Vijaya Gadde. The deal's closing removes a cloud of uncertainty that has hung over Twitter's business, employees and shareholders for much of the year. The Twitter executives who were fired include Agarwal, Gadde, Chief Financial Officer Ned Segal and General Counsel Sean Edgett.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the
जवानों के परिवार के लोग भी शामिल थे। साथ ही हमारे वर्तमान सेना के सर्विंग ऑफिशियल और जवान भी शामिल थे। उन सबको मैंने संबोधित किया। संबोधन में मैंने इसका भी जिक्र किया कि कैसे लंबे समय तक धरती का स्वर्ग कहे जाने वाले जम्मू कश्मीर को अंधेरे में रखा गया, फलस्वरूप यहां आतंकवाद जैसी अनेक समस्याएं पनपी। यहाँ उग्रवाद पनपा, देश के माथे पर इतना खून बहाया गया जिसके धब्बे हमें आज भी यहाँ तहाँ दिखाई दे जाते हैं। साथियों, इन सब के पीछे यदि कारण देखा जाए तो अनेक कारणों के साथ यहाँ पर बुनियादी सुविधाओं का अभाव यह प्रमुख था। यहाँ पर लगभग 7 दशकों तक विकास की वह स्थिति नहीं आ पाई जो देश के बाकी हिस्सों में आ गई थी। बुनियादी सुविधाओं का विकास नहीं तो शिक्षा नहीं, स्वास्थ्य नहीं, उद्योग धंधे और रोजगार के अवसर नहीं और साथ ही साथ समृद्धि भी नहीं। ऐसे में समाज की विभाजनकारी शक्तियों को प्रायः अवसर मिल जाया करता है और वे अपने मंसूबों में सफल हो जाया करते हैं। साथियों, दशकों तक यहाँ के नागरिकों, खासकर बच्चों, महिलाओं और युवाओं की जिंदगी के साथ खिलवाड़ किया गया। उन्हें शिक्षा और रोजगार के मौके उपलब्ध नहीं कराए गए। जिन हाथों में कलम और कंप्यूटर होने थे, उन हाथों में गोले, बंदूक और मोर्टार थमा दिए गए। स्टडीज बतलाती हैं, एक अध्ययन बताता है कि इंटरनल डिस्टर्बेंसेस के चलते पास्ट में जम्मू कश्मीर ने फॉरेन और डोमेस्टिक टूरिस्ट के अराइवल में अच्छी खासी गिरावट भी देखी है। जाहिर है इसका नतीजा केवल जम्मू कश्मीर ही नहीं बल्कि लद्दाख और पूरे राष्ट्र को भी भुगतना पड़ा है। इस इलाके में देश भर से जाने कितने जवानों की जानें भी गई हैं, जाने कितने घर उजड़े हैं, जम्मू और कश्मीर और लद्दाख के अंदर भी और साथ ही साथ बाहर भी। पर मुझे ये कहते हुए बेहद खुशी होती है कि देर आए दुरुस्त आए, देर से ही सही पर जम्मू कश्मीर में भी विकास की धारा अब बह निकली है। सरकार के अथक प्रयासों से इस इलाके में उम्मीदों की एक नई सुबह हुई है। मुझे मालूम है कि प्रातःकाल में विकास का सूरज अभी धीरे धीरे चल रहा है, पर वह दिन दूर नहीं जब यह पूरा इलाका विकास की रोशनी से जगमगा उठेगा। कनेक्टिविटी की सुविधा से इस इलाके समेत देश के बाकी दूरस्थ इलाके भी शेष भारत से और मजबूती के साथ जुड़ेंगे और राष्ट्र को प्रगति के पथ पर अग्रसर करने में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका वे निभाएंगे। इन सब में बीआरओ का भी बड़ा अहम योगदान होगा, ऐसा मेरा विश्वास है। साथियों, देश हर दिन बीआरओ की नई उपलब्धियों के बारे में सुन रहा है। यह बीआरओ के कर्मियों के डेडिकेशन यानी समर्पण, कमिटमेंट और लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल राजीव चौधरी डीजीबीआर के दूरदर्शी व कुशल नेतृत्व के द्वारा ही यह संभव हो सका है। लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल चौधरी देखन में छोटे लगे घाव करें गंभीर वाली कहावत वो चरितार्थ करते हैं। यानी जब से अपने बीआरओ का कार्य संभाला है, मैं देख रहा हूं यह नित नई ऊंचाइयां छू रहा है। यह स्वतः आपकी निष्ठा, समर्पण और कर्तव्य परायणता का यह प्रमाण है। इसके लिए आप सराहना के पात्र हैं। मैं हमारी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस और एमओडी को भी इन उपलब्धियों के लिए बधाई देता हूं। मैं आप सभी से सदैव नव निर्माण में रत रहने का आह्वान करता हूं। हम सभी हमेशा कुछ नया करते रहें और राष्ट्र को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाएं, यह हमारा उद्देश्य होना चाहिए। अंत में ज्यादा कुछ न कहते हुए मैं एक बार फिर आप सभी को के सम्मिलित प्रयासों की यहां मैं सराहना करता हूं और मैं इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स के उद्घाटन के अवसर पर आप सभी और समस्त देशवासियों को बधाई देते हुए अपना निवेदन यहीं समाप्त करता हूं। आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
You're watching visuals of the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in Ladakh. In a speech a short while back, the Defence Minister lamented the decades-long neglect of Ladakh, but has promised that all that will change.
मेरा निवेदन रहेगा सर, अगली बार आपने अवश्य आना है क्योंकि पिछली बार एक बार आपके द्वारा यहाँ आना हुआ था और
And Defence Minister now interacting with the audience, with members of the audience. Rajnath Singh is set to inaugurate a number of key projects that will increase connectivity and also development in Ladakh. He lamented the decades-long neglect of Ladakh as a part of Jammu and Kashmir, but promised that the government under Prime Minister Modi would ensure that the situation undergoes a transformation. The Defence Minister is set to inaugurate a number of key projects here. Among them, various infrastructure projects, 75 in number. The Defence Minister also speaks about terror and India's fight against terror that continues despite the odds. And we have breaking news coming in now. Cyberabad police are set to approach the High Court, challenging the ACB court's order after the court rejected the remand request of the 3 accused in the MLA's poaching case. So Cyberabad police, it was actually the Cyberabad police that had first made a case of poaching and had declared it that it was an attempt at poaching 4 TRS, that is the Telangana Rashtra Samiti MLAs, by the BJP. However, there is no proof of this, and the Cyberabad police has not been able to come up with any proof regarding this. Yesterday, it had approached the ACB court for a remand order, but the court had rejected the request for the 3 accused that the Cyberabad police had presented. And now, breaking news coming in that the Telangana police are to move the High Court with the same request. So the Telangana poaching controversy gets bigger, even as the BJP has refuted all allegations of attempts at poaching TRS MLAs. The BJP has asked some very pertinent questions, and Aneri now joining us for this breaking news. Aneri, we are hearing now that the Cyberabad police, which is in a very tight spot right now, even as we speak, it is likely to approach the High Court. What details do you have?
Well, that's right, Chikma. We have been seeing that yesterday late night, we have seen that the police officials had produced the 3 accused in the poaching controversy case in front of the ACB court, and also then we see that late night there was an order which was passed which stated that these 3 should be released immediately as there was no enough proof, and now we see that the police officials, the Cyberabad police, is going to move towards the High Court, challenging the order of the ACB. Now, also at the same time, not to forget, we have been seeing how massive controversy this has been going on in the state of Telangana, because the BJP and the TRS blame each other. But now a big development coming in where we see that the Cyberabad police is going to challenge the ACB court's order that as they were being their remand was rejected by the ACB court judge, stating that there's no enough proof. And so now the Cyberabad police is looking into various angles, and they are also seeing that they would be moving for the High Court, challenging the petition, challenging the orders of the ACB court.
Well, meanwhile, Aneri, it's crucial now that the police present some form of evidence Because, well, that's the question that is being asked. Even as those allegations were made, the BJP completely refuting those allegations and asking what proof is there? Where is the money?
Right. That is also one of the reasons and one of the questions which has been raised by the opposition parties because we see that the FIR mentions about rupees 100 crores being 50 crores, but not a single rupee being mentioned that this amount was seized from the farmhouse or any sort of amount was found at the farmhouse in Moinabad on the late Wednesday night, where we have seen that police officials were collecting votes. But now we see that this also is one of the questions which is being raised by the Bharatiya Janata Party because they have been saying that not a single rupee is being mentioned in the FIR copy, but not to forget the BJP also has moved to the High Court demanding that this investigation should be shifted to CBI or the special investigation team should go into the matter.
Well, many thanks, Aneri, for joining us there. You keep your eyes on that story. So there's been quite some developments in the poaching row as it gets bigger in Telangana. Cyberabad police now set to present the three whom they have accused of attempting to poach TRS MLAs in the High Court after the ACB court rejected their demand for a remand. In other top international news, gunmen attacked a major Shiite holy site in Iran, killing at least 15 and wounding dozens. The attack comes as protesters elsewhere in Iran marked 40 days since a woman's death in custody ignited the biggest anti-government movement in over a decade. China's foreign minister's spokesperson Mao Ning says they are shocked and strongly condemn the attack on the Shiite holy site in Iran on Wednesday, which killed at least 15 and wounded dozens. A group of protesters gathered outside the British embassy in Tehran chanting slogans against Western media. The chants singled out the BBC's Persian service as well as Iran International. According to sources, protesters burned prints of the UK and LGBTQ rainbow flags. Billionaire Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter and fired the social media company's 4 top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and legal executive Vijaya Gadde. The deal's closing removes a cloud of uncertainty that has hung over Twitter's business, employees and shareholders for much of the year. The Twitter executives who were fired include Agarwal, Gadde, Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel and General Counsel Sean Edgett.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway.
And breaking news coming in now. You're watching live in Breaking here on Republic. And there's news of a Himachal Pradesh minister seeking the blessings of rapist Baba Ram Rahim. After Haryana, it's now a minister from Himachal who has gone seeking the blessings of rape convict Gurmeet Ram Rahim. And the minister is Bikram Singh, Minister of Himachal Pradesh. Reports suggest that he has gone on to seek the blessings of rape convict Gurmeet Ram Rahim. And it says Bikram Singh Thakur has bowed down to Gurmeet Ram Rahim, receiving his blessings ahead of the Himachal Assembly polls. And Amandeep on this story live with us. Amandeep, we are hearing more news of another minister, of another person in power, in a position, seeking the blessings of rape convict Gurmeet Ram Rahim. Tell us more. Give us all the details.
Well, absolutely, Rukma. This is shocking and surprising. After Haryana's BJP leaders, now Himachal Pradesh minister has also participated into the satsang of Gurmeet Ram Rahim. And even he has also seek the blessings of Gurmeet Ram Rahim, that he has came here to take his ashirwad into this satsang. Just because it was a virtual satsang, Rukma, and it has been organized by the people of Himachal Pradesh in Hamirpur. And this Bikram Singh Thakur is a transport minister in the Jairam Thakur's regime, and even participated himself into this satsang and conveying the Baba and even wishes him and taking his blessings for the elections as well. This is very shocking and surprising, that how come these ministers and the MLAs from the different states, from the same party, they are trying to take the blessings and they're trying to target the vote bank of Dera Sirsa through this channel. Is this the appropriate? Is this the way they wanted to opt for the politics? And is this the way they are pursuing their political careers? A rapist Baba, a murder convict, a rape convict who is serving the sentence of rape as well as murder, he is the one who is actually controlling the Dera Sirsa and the vote bank also. And now these leaders are trying to play the politics into that. They are separate themselves from the entire fact that he is a murder convict, he is a rape convict, and he is serving the sentence for the same as well. But they are completely focused on the vote bank of the Dera Sirsa. Just because, Rukma, in Himachal Pradesh there is some belt where the Dera Sirsa vote bank is existing, and one of the belts is Hamirpur, and Bikram Singh Thakur is the MLA and the transport minister of the Himachal Pradesh from the same belt as well. And that the virtual satsang that has been organized by the Dera from Hamirpur as well, and the people from the different parts of Punjab, Haryana and Himachal have joined this satsang. And one person, only one person, he introduced himself as a MLA of the area and take the blessings of Gurmeet Ram Rahim for just ahead of the polls of Himachal Pradesh. And is this the justified politics of the BJP in Haryana and in Himachal? First Karnal Mayor bows down, and then Haryana's Deputy Speaker bows down, Haryana BJP MLAs bows down, and even now Himachal Pradesh Minister is bowing down to Gurmeet Ram Rahim just for the few votes. Is this justified? There are certain questions that has been arised on the politics of the BJP. They started one after another bowing down to Gurmeet Ram Rahim. Viewers, we are slipping into a very short break, but stay tuned for more stories and more updates on Republic TV. Stay tuned.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper in half a dozen districts of the state, and the refusal thereof is resulting in the rape of their mothers to settle financial disputes on the diktats of caste panchayats. The National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC, has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report in this regard.
The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that in some districts of Rajasthan, the caste panchayats are very active in redressal of disputes, and especially in the matters.
Defense Minister Rajnath Singh in Ladakh. It's his mega outreach there in Ladakh, meeting with the soldiers of our defense forces in Ladakh, which is one of the frontier areas of our nation. And just a short while back, we heard him speak about lamenting over the neglect that Ladakh has had to undergo for decades under governments that ignored the area's needs. He stressed on connectivity. He stressed on India's fight against terror, despite all the odds, and interacted also with members of the audience. Rajnath Singh is set to inaugurate a slew of projects here. A number of key projects to be inaugurated today during this particular visit. As you can see there, he's meeting with members of, with soldiers of our forces posted in Ladakh. And joining us now is our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, to take us through this mega outreach and explain its significance and offer more insights. Abhishek, it's over to you.
Well, we are getting pictures of Defense Minister Rajnath Singh in Ladakh at point 15. And remember, just last month, we have disengaged with China at that point after Ladakh's, after China's incursions in 2020. And Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has been on a 2-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Yesterday he was in Srinagar, where he made it clear and then plain speaking with Pakistan on the issue of terror, and suggested that not very far in the future we would be focusing on Gilgit-Baltistan. And now he's in Ladakh. He's engaging with the troops there and their families. And after which we are told that he would be visiting patrolling.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की अपेक्षा यह थी कि हम आज़ादी के 75 वर्ष पूरा कर रहे हैं। यह अमृत महोत्सव वर्ष है। इस अमृत महोत्सव वर्ष में सभी विभाग कम से कम 75 ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स अथवा 75 को ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण काम अपना करके उसका लोकार्पण करें। उसी के तहत बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने ये 75 इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तैयार करके आज उसका लोकार्पण मेरे माध्यम से यहाँ कराया है।
सर, आपने तमाम
और जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट ये बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कर रहा है, ज्यादातर सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों में यह हो रहा है, क्योंकि सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों में रहने वाले लोग या कोई सामान्य नागरिक नहीं है, बल्कि हमारे स्ट्रेटेजिक एसेट। अब आजाद भारत में सचमुच सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों का जितना तेजी के साथ विकास होना चाहिए था, पर नहीं हो पाया। लेकिन अब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री ने उस पर विशेष तवज्जो दी है, विशेष ध्यान दिया है और तेजी के साथ हो रहा है। और मैं कह सकता हूं पिछले 7-8 वर्षों में बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने जिस तेजी के साथ काम किया है, उसकी जितनी प्रशंसा की जाए वो कम है।
सर, आपने जो उत्तराखंड और तमाम जितने भी लोग थे, एमपी थे या फिर मिनिस्टर, सभी को कहा कि अवेयर करें या लोकल मीडिया के माध्यम से बताया जाए कि जो रोड्स जुड़े हैं, यानी कि जनता जागरूक हो, जनता को पता चले,
जनता को जागरूक हो और जहां लोगों को लगे कि इसको प्रायोरिटी मिलनी चाहिए तो अवगत भी कराएं संबंधित अधिकारियों को, जनप्रतिनिधियों को, हम लोगों को भी, और ताकि उनके अंदर भी एक सेंस ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस कुछ सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों में रहने वाले लोगों के अंदर पैदा हुआ, आत्मविश्वास का भाव कि नहीं, देखिए हमारी सरकार हमारे सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों का विकास तेजी के साथ कर रही है।
एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बात सर आपने कही कि रिवर ऑफ डेथ कहते हैं श्योक सेतु को, लेकिन यहाँ पर रिवर ऑफ लाइफ, जिस तरीके से लोगों ने काम किया पूरे मन के साथ, और इस टेम्परेचर में, मतलब माइनस टेम्परेचर में काम करना, नेक्स्ट
मैं समझता हूँ कि श्योक रिवर को कुछ दिनों के बाद जो है रिवर ऑफ डेथ के रूप में लोग नहीं जानेंगे, बल्कि रिवर ऑफ लाइफ के रूप में इसको जानेंगे।
थैंक यू सर।
Taking a short break here on Republic TV, we're broadcasting live from the UN terror meeting where India has tried to put the complete focus on the need to urgently hold countries that are exporting terror accountable. Countries like Pakistan, countries like China. We have some of those testimonies of the victims and survivors of the attack. We'll take a short break, come back with the live coverage. Stay tuned.
It's raring for adventure. A fierce hunter. The new breed rises above all others. A new breed of SUVs, the advanced Grand Vitara, rule every road.
Billionaire Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter and fired the social media company's 4 top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and legal executive Vijaya Gadde. The deal's closing removes a cloud of uncertainty that has hung over Twitter's business, employees and shareholders for much of the year. The Twitter executives who were fired include Agrawal, Gadde, Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel and General Counsel Sean Edgett.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp.
Massive fire has gutted all 20 houses in the Padar area of the Kishtwar district. Early today morning, a massive fire broke out, the reason of which is still to be known. The massive fire has taken over 20 houses in its domain and have been totally gutted. The Jammu and Kashmir police, along with the Rashtriya Rifles of the Indian Army, have been rushed to the spot to provide the immediate relief. There was no loss of life that was reported as per the initial information, as this area is far off and has limited mobile connectivity. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has directed the officials on ground to provide the immediate relief to the 20 affected families. They say that the number of the houses that have been gutted in the fire are likely to go up, as it was a close vicinity of the houses where the fire broke out early today morning, after which the forces were rushed. With Gaurav Sahani, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
And we are tracking the story of how the United Nations is chairing its terror meet in Mumbai. The world leaders pay tribute to victims of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Stay tuned to Republic for all the news.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Style? For me, it's the pursuit of timeless elegance. Crisp, clean, classic, subtle brilliance. You don't know what it is that catches your eye, but it does, you know. The cut, the color, the lines. There's something in the essence of the evergreen. You feel special, selected. That's when I know I found the right fit. When I feel selected.
In other top international news, gunmen attacked a major Shiite holy site in Iran, killing at least 15 and wounding dozens. The attack comes as protesters elsewhere in Iran marked 40 days since a woman's death in custody ignited the biggest anti-government movement in over a decade. China's foreign minister's spokesperson Mao Ning says they are shocked and strongly condemn the attack on the Shiite holy site in Iran on Wednesday, which killed at least 15 and wounded dozens. A group of protesters gathered outside the British embassy in Tehran, chanting slogans.
The Indian police forces, 12 members of the Taj Hotel staff and security were martyred in the line of duty.
Top headlines this afternoon. United Nations shares terror meet in Mumbai. World leaders pay tribute to the 26/11 victims. India shares evidence of 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai, puts 26/11 complicity of Pakistan and China before the world. World leaders pay tribute to the victims of 26/11 terror attacks. 26/11 survivors narrate their ordeal.
विभिन्न चुनौतियों के बीच देश की एकता का सशक्त होना आपकी तैयारियों का भी प्रतिबिंब है.
Prime Minister Modi attends the Chintan Shivir on national security, virtually addresses the state home ministers. In a big move, Elon Musk completes Twitter takeover, sacks top Twitter officials, including CEO Parag Agrawal. Russian President Vladimir Putin hails India's foreign policy, says a lot has been done under Modi government. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. We are live and breaking. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. To our top story, in a first such meeting of the UNSC Council's Counter-Terror Committee in India since its establishment in 2001, India is hosting in fact a special meeting of the United Nations Security Council's Counter-Terror Committee, which is discussing the overarching theme of countering the use of new and emerging technologies for terrorist purposes. Well, and very strong words coming in from External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, where he's called out the complicity between Pakistan and China in relation to the 26/11 attacks. Also calling for the for the reviewing of the grey listing mechanism as well, and also going on to produce certain facts which corroborate the role of Pakistan in the 26/11 attacks and how Pakistan has been shielding all these terrorists as well. Let's listen into those excerpts of the External Affairs Minister.
Excellency, Mr. Michael Musa Adamo, Honorable Foreign Minister of the Gabonese Republic and President of the UN Security Council, heads of delegations of the UN Security Council member states, Excellencies. 14 years ago, on 26 November 2008, the city of Mumbai was witness to one of the most shocking terror attacks of our times. 140 Indian nationals and 26 citizens of 23 other countries lost their lives in a period of 4 days. In fact, this entire city was held hostage by terrorists who had entered from across the border. If much worse was averted, it was only because they ran into the collective resolve of Indian security forces, brave civilians, and the security and staff of this very Taj Hotel. All of them fought back valiantly in their own ways, to ensure that the forces of evil were finally defeated. 18 members of the Indian police forces, 12 members of the Taj Hotel staff and security were martyred in the line of duty. As we pay tribute to them at this 26/11 memorial site, we salute their valor and resolve. We all recall that the victims included ordinary Mumbaikars going about their daily lives at the Chhatrapati Maharaj Terminus railway station, the patients, doctors and nursing staff at the Kama Hospital, the guests and staff of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, of Cafe Leopold and the Oberoi Trident Hotel, the Chabad House where baby Moshe's parents were killed, and innocent bystanders on the streets. It was not just an attack on Mumbai, but an attack on the international community. Nationals of specific countries were identified before being murdered. As a result, the commitment of each and every member state of the United Nations to combat terrorism stood publicly challenged. Since then, we have endeavored to bring the masterminds and the perpetrators of this attack to justice. This task remains unfinished. Therefore, the coming together of the UNSC's Counter-Terrorism Committee to this venue is both special and significant. I thank all members of the Security Council and other member states who have joined us today in an expression of solidarity. Together, we should send out the message that the international community will never give up on holding terrorists accountable and delivering justice. 26/11 will never ever be forgotten.
And let's also listen in to one of those victims of the 26/11 attacks who spoke to our executive editor Niranjan. Listen to the victim on her narrating her ordeal and the horror of 26/11 attacks.
26/11 को 2008 को मैं मेरे फैमिली के साथ थी। मैं पूना जाने वाली थी बड़े भाई को मिलने। हम सीएसटी स्टेशन पहुंचते तभी मुझे गोली लगी कसाब की। वहाँ मैंने अंधाधुंध होते फायरिंग होते हुए देखी। मैं एक शख्स को देखती हूँ जिसके हाथ में बड़ी सी बंदूक है और वह अंधाधुंध गोली फायरिंग कर रहा है। मुझे नहीं पता था कि वहाँ क्या हो रहा है। मेरी उम्र तब 9 साल 11 महीने की थी। मेरे लिए वो समझना बहुत मुश्किल था। वहाँ से मुझे जेजे हॉस्पिटल लेके गए। मैं बेहोश हो चुकी थी गोली लगने के बाद। वहाँ से हॉस्पिटल लेके गए। हॉस्पिटल में मेरा गोली निकाला गया पैर से, हड्डी टूट चुकी थी। पैर का 6 ऑपरेशन हुआ। बाद में मुझे ऑफिसर ने कांटेक्ट किया, हमें बोले कि आप कोर्ट में आके आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे। हमने बोला हाँ। मेरे पापा ने दोनों आतंकवादी को देखा था और मैंने कसाब को देखी थी। फिर 10 जून को मैं और मेरे पापा ने जाके कोर्ट में आइडेंटिफाई किया था।
कसाब का गोली लगा आपको? You saw कसाब? How close was कसाब to you?
अंदाज 20 फुट था कसाब। मैंने एक शख्स को देखती हूँ जिसके हाथ में बड़ी सी गन है और वो बुटका सरी का है। उसके चेहरे पे कोई डर नहीं था। ऐसा लग रहा था मुझे कि वो हम लोगों को मार के उसे खुशी मिल रही है। जो अंधाधुंध गोली फायरिंग कर रहा है, मैं उसे वो तभी फायरिंग करते हुए देखती हूँ। गोली मुझे लगती है, मैं बेहोश हो जाती हूँ।
जब आप बात कर रहे थे तो मैंने आपको कहते हुए सुना कि जो मास्टरमाइंड है अभी भी पाकिस्तान में है, पाकिस्तान में ज़िंदा है और उनको सपोर्ट मिल रहा है। जब आप इस न्यूज़ को देखते हो तो आपको अंदर से क्या लगता है? आपको
अंदर से मुझे खुनस आता है कि पाकिस्तान ऐसा कैसे कर सकते हैं। वहाँ हो गए कोई बेगुनाह, बट आप ऐसे आतंकवाद को कैसे पाल के रख सकते हो। मास्टरमाइंड आज खुलेआम घूम रहा है, उसे कोई किसी का डर नहीं है। वो आतंकवाद पाल रहा है, आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा दे रहा है। हम जैसे बेगुनाहों को गोली लगता, हम कितने लोग ना जाने उसमें शहीद हुए, ना जाने कितने लोग मारे गए। उन आतंकवाद के वजह से आज हमारे घर में क्या होता है वो हम जानते हैं। जो लोग पे बीतती है वो लोगों को वो दर्द पता है कि क्या होता है। मैं बस यही अपील करना चाहूँगी कि आतंकवाद जल्द से जल्द ख़त्म हो। इसलिए मेरा भी एक ड्रीम है कि मैं एक IPS ऑफिसर बनना चाहती हूँ और पूरे टेररिज्म को ख़त्म करना चाहती हूँ।
आखिरी क्वेश्चन है कि आज you heard all the delegates speak. भारत ने जो बात की, जो पूरा statistics के साथ सब ambassadors और 15-16 countries के सामने जो पेश की है, क्या आपको लगता है कि अभी पूरा दुनिया को सच पता चल रहा है? And do you think we will be successful in fighting against terror? What is, as a victim of 26/11, आपको क्या लगता है?
पूरी दुनिया को सच तो पहले से पता था कि आतंकवाद कौन पाल के रखता है, बस उसके खिलाफ एक्शन लेने की कब से कोशिश हो रही थी. अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक्शन लिया जाएगा, जल्द से जल्द हमें पूरा इंसाफ मिला जाएगा.
Well, you just heard some of the survivors of the 26/11 attack speaking to Republic TV as in the course of this broadcast that we've been getting you from one of the locations that was targeted by the Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists. 10 terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Toiba attacked Mumbai on 26/11. This is 2008, 14 years ago. But India continues to put the focus. India continues to fight to ensure that those who are the masterminds, those responsible in conspiring, plotting, planning, training, and finally carrying out the attacks are brought to book. You've heard several addresses, and India aggressively has made sure that we bring facts to the table. At this location, you had External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. In fact, we're expecting him to speak to the media in a few minutes from now. But I think the entire focus has been to tell the world that there is enough proof and more against countries like Pakistan. In the last few hours, you had audio tapes, proofs being put out by the minister himself, the government, people in the government who speaking with facts about how Pakistan has tried to hoodwink the world on combating terror. And there are specific instances of China, for example, openly backing Pakistan to ensure that terrorists who are being harbored in Pakistan are not designated as global terrorists. You've had. I think we're getting in more responses. Let's cut across and listen into some of those reactions you've been getting in at the UN terror meeting.
I think that is clearly what is under discussion today, and I'm sure that's why everyone is here together to ensure that people who are responsible will be brought to justice. And I think that's why this meeting is there.
But does it hurt you? Because some of us have seen the attack, we've reported on the attack, we've seen the pain and suffering of people, and how India's over the years, 14 years, we've been fighting for justice. Take us through the last 14 years as you've seen it and what is your sense when you look at people like Zakir Rahman Lakwi, people like Hafiz Saeed still alive and doing well in Pakistan?
See, I don't want to comment anything on politics because that's not up to me. But as far as I'm concerned, I think we all need to deal with it individually. And I think the best way is to not be defeated by terrorism and to continue to defy it and continue to live your life the way you should, and which I think was the message that I gave today.
14 years back, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about how people came together to ensure that as many lives as possible could be saved in this hotel where we are broadcasting from?
Well, I think that is something that the whole world saw that day. It's the staff of this place that got together, all of us. There were 400-500 of us, and we did what we thought at that time, given the information and given what was going on, what was the best thing to do. A lot of things that we see now were a post-mortem of that event. At that time, it was total chaos, but it was amazing that the staff acted the way they did, saving thousands of lives.
My last question to you, the way the government has sort of put facts on the table to ensure that there's accountability, global accountability on fighting terror, do you think we should do much more now and to ensure that we now ensure that that those behind these attacks are punished?
As I said, I think the whole purpose of this particular meeting and the fact that the United Nations Security Council is meeting in this very place is a clear symbol of the fact that we all are very, very, and I think they're very, very clear that that's the route they want to follow. I mean, that's why they're here. Yeah.
Well, for the first time, in fact, you heard India even playing out a tape of Sajid Mir, a terrorist, the Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist. Sajid Mir's tape was played out by the Indian delegation at this UN terror meeting. Facts like phones from China being used to coordinate and carry out the attack, facts about direct involvement of the state of Pakistan, facts about how China's tried to block the global designation of some of these terrorists, including Sajid Mir. By the way, the irony is India's played out the audio tape of Sajid Mir that was played out at the UN terror meeting, the UNCTC, or the UN Counter-Terror Committee meeting, which is underway here at the Taj. And with all of this evidence, and with countries like the UK, the US backing India, you had the UK Foreign Secretary in the crowd, in the audience here. You had Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State of America, speaking here and acknowledging the need to designate such terrorists and terror groups to ensure that there are no such attacks in the future. We're just standing by the way, for S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, who will be taking some questions in a few minutes from now as we wait for that. Some more survivors of global terror attacks that we spoke to in the last few minutes.
You are absolutely right. It is the first very forum I have seen in India happening where, people from the globe, whether whosoever, like the victims, the participants, the delegates, the country heads, everybody was under one roof to discuss about the emerging threats as we have globally. And I'm very glad that having our country taking this step forward, I'm very glad that soon we shall be able to fight this together.
And the fact that India is taking a lead, because wherever we speak at global forums, and this is a global forum, and the fact that India has taken a lead to bring this here at a location that was attacked, to send that message, do you think we are now being front-footed more than ever before to combat these countries that export terror?
You are right, sir. We are, because they have started with the Agas. We will definitely get an anjam of it. So it's very rare that, we've seen co-memorials taking place, but we've never seen in memoriam ever happening. So this in memoriam brings you, under one roof, which says that, yes, we would like to talk about it because we do have this problem and we would like to fight for it. And we are coming up front to fight against terrorism with whichever countries we are having threats.
Yeah. My last question to you. Don't want to sort of remind you of what you went through. You spoke about some of that, but most often we don't hear stories of survival, of what a terror survivor, for example, goes through. In brief, if you can tell our viewers about how challenging this last few years has been for you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you're hearing me, I'm a victim and a survivor of the deadliest terror attack which ever took place in the history of Belgium on March 22nd, 2016. The first attack I did see, just in front of me, but I didn't realize what it was. But the second attack, in which I was included, so that was very close to me, and the person over there, he yelled his last prayer, he just pressed the detonator. It was too late for me to move from there. But with God's grace, I was escaped. I remember I was kicked with a wave. I was kicked like a football. I felt as if the sun has gone in my eyes and the thunder has struck my ears. I didn't know I was kindly blackout. And I landed on the floor and, I passed out. And I called for help after a few minutes and somebody did help me. And it took me about 3 hours to reach the hospital, but the hospital doctors, because it was the very first case for them to have of the blast, they didn't, they couldn't make out that what kind of skin I have. So they thought this is kind of a dark skin I hold, but the part all which were exposed were burned. So I have 20% of burns in my body. I have many shrapnels still embedded. The first surgery, they removed 49 metal pieces from my leg.
In fact, you're looking at some of the pictures of the Maharashtra Chief Minister. I think that's Eknath Shinde also there. Eknath Shinde is also here. And I see that S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, is also with Eknath Shinde for a photo session perhaps. And they could be speaking to the media. There is a possibility that they could be speaking to the media. So we're just standing by for some of those interactions. And Yes, we're just standing by to try and speak to S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister. The External Affairs Minister should be speaking in a few minutes from now. In fact, India has gone all out to ensure that, from holding this event at a very symbolic location to even sort of putting that proof out there. We've gone all out, no efforts spared to ensuring that we speak about the proof against Pakistan and talk about the Chinese help, etc. And even the fact that there's a news conference on. Let's cut across live.
United Kingdom and India is a long and intimate one. And today I am here with other representatives from around the world remembering the terrible terrorist attack that was witnessed here in Mumbai in 2008. Of course, the UK condemns all terrorism, and we will work with India and our international friends and partners to try and prevent an attack like the one we saw in Mumbai from ever happening again. Thank you.
And as you can see, these are visuals from the UN special meet on terror, which is being held in Mumbai this year for the first time outside Europe. And
the government of India for organizing this event. It's a very important topic of supporting of victims of terrorism and fighting terrorism financing. Both topics are really in the agendas of majority of member states, and I appreciate very strongly the Indian leadership on these two very issues. We are working very closely with Indian colleagues in New York on implementation of comprehensive counterterrorism agenda. And I'm absolutely sure that this conference, which has started today, will contribute better lateral efforts in countering terrorism. Thank you.
Undersecretary, can we ask you a question, sir? With all the evidence that India put out today in the form of, you heard the minister and you heard the secretaries of the Indian government put out facts about terror, the pattern in which terrorists and terror groups operate. Do you think there is a need and a case being made to push further to ensure that there is more action at the global stage against these groups?
Fighting terrorism is absolutely a comprehensive issue because terrorism is a global phenomenon and only by multilateral efforts it could be defeated. So because of that, of course, common effort, common orchestrated action is needed, and I think today's discussion, today's introduction by members of Security Council of their efforts connected with counterterrorism activities is very important because it shows the strength and political will of the international society to fight terrorism, to join forces against this scourge.
Thank you. Thank you, Undersecretary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much,
sir. At the UN meet venue in Mumbai, and our senior executive editor Niranjan taking us through all the proceedings as they happen there. It's a special meet this year as the world expresses solidarity with the victims of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks.
Hi, my name is Chris Liu. The last name is L.U. I am the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations for Management and Reform. It's an honor to be here at this important convening on counterterrorism. I want to thank the government of India for their wonderful hospitality. Today's session was a moving one. We obviously have weighty policy decisions, discussions on issues like terrorism financing and emerging technologies, but today was a powerful reminder that this is really about people's lives. I was moved by the wreath-laying ceremony that we participated in, and I was especially touched by the testimonies this morning of the victims of the 2008 attacks. On behalf of the U.S. government, we send our sympathies to the Indian people. We stand in solidarity with them, and we are committed to ensuring that the perpetrators of this horrific attack are brought to justice. I'm also here in India to strengthen the ties between the United States and India. India is one of our most critical partners around the globe on so many issues, and I'm looking forward to several days of consultations with your officials. Thank you very much.
Mr. Liu, just a couple of questions. Ambassador of Ecuador.
These are visuals from Mumbai, the United Nations Security Council Terror Meet being held outside Europe for the first time. Various representatives of countries from across the world who are participating in this terror meet, expressing their support for India's fight against terror, the tremendous fight despite all odds that continues. 14 years after the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks that rocked the entire country and claimed more than 100 innocent lives. And in a short while from now, we're waiting for a press conference to be addressed by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. You heard the testimonies of various survivors of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. And these are visuals from the venue. Chief Minister of Maharashtra Eknath Shinde there, along with Union Minister.
A couple of questions about
Jaishankar.
the Indian perspective on this.
Yes.
About the evidence. So you had different ambassadors from different countries, at the UN terror meeting, the counter-terror committee meeting here today at a very symbolic location. We have the Ecuadorian representative with us. You heard the Indian perspective, sir, and you saw India put out facts about why countries like Pakistan, of course, we've gone on to name groups, operatives from countries like Pakistan. We haven't named China, but there are countries, groups that try and shield terrorists, give them cover diplomatically. For example, when they try to designate groups as global terrorists, countries jump in. These groups ensure that there is no complete overhaul and action on terror. Do you think forums like this will help put that pressure on countries like Pakistan and China?
Definitely, I think forums like this will help to come together. We all need to combat terrorism, because terrorism, it is inherently bad for the world. It's a moral imperative, as I said, to fight terrorism in all its forms. So I think this forum is very appropriate to bring attention to the issue of fighting terrorism, and fighting terrorism in many fronts and many forms. In this case, this conference is to analyze effective measures to counter the use of new technologies for terrorist purposes. So I think it's very timely that we all come together. It's an international problem, and it's certainly an issue that is condemned and rejected by my country, Ecuador.
Specifically on the need for reforms, and I'm repeating myself because it's important for us. For 14 years, it's been 14 years since the attack happened at this location, at this hotel, right? For 14 years, for example, we've been trying to get a terrorist like Hafiz Saeed or Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, the masterminds of the attack on India. 160 people and more were killed. So in that sense, do you think there are need for reforms at the UN level, at the diplomatic level, so that there is accountability, for example, at the FATF?
I think measures should be found to implement effective ways to bring to justice those responsible for terrorist attacks and acts, of course respecting human rights and international law.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
They're speaking with representatives of various countries who are there at the UN meet venue. It's a meet to pay homage to the victims of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, in which countries express their solidarity with India for India's fight against terror. Despite the odds, and in this particular meet today, India laid bare all the details that implicate our neighbors, China as well as Pakistan, and their complicity in the 26/11 horrific Mumbai attacks that claimed over 100 innocent lives. And going across once again to Niranjan. Niranjan, over to you.
Well, you know, this is the only message that's coming out of this terror meeting, terror conclave at a venue that was targeted about 14 years back. And every participant, every participating country at this UN Counter-Terror Committee meeting has just one message, that there should be reforms, there should be more accountability, global accountability. And I think everyone has something to say about India's statistical, data-driven point about Pakistan's role. For example, you heard Sajid Mir's audio. Haven't ever seen on a global platform a country playing out a terror tape, for example, of what happened here 14 years ago during 26/11, played out at the venue, along with proof of the evidence that India has collected over the last few years, over the last 14 years to be precise. And most countries acknowledging that it's a global problem. Some of the countries also spoke about how sometimes some groupings happen diplomatically. For example, to be very specific, though they didn't take names, they were talking about how countries like China come to the rescue of countries like Pakistan, and this has happened over the years. You've had 5 instances in the last 1 year alone when China has come to Pakistan's rescue, when India and America have tried to sort of diplomatically put the pressure on Pakistan and designate global terrorists. You had different instances. Sajid Mir, ironically, Sajid Mir, whose audio tape was played out, Sajid Mir himself was shielded by China. So these are some very, very significant points that India has made. And I think for the first time we are seeing the government at a global forum put out these evidences which is forcing the world to take note. Of course, we've done that in the form of dossiers in the past, but the fact that it's being publicized worldwide, played at public forums, with survivors speaking, testimonies out in the open, this is an unprecedented move by India, perhaps forcing the world to take note. Let's once again listen into what S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, said at the beginning of this conclave this morning at the Taj.
Your Excellency, Mr. Michael Musa Adamo, Honorable Foreign Minister of the Gabonese Republic and President of the UN Security Council, Honorable Ministers, Heads of Delegations of the UN Security Council Member States, Your Excellency, Mr. Vladimir Voronkov, UN Under-Secretary General for Counterterrorism, important civil society stakeholders who have traveled across the world for this briefing, Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking all of you for traveling to Mumbai to attend this informal briefing of the Counter-Terrorism Committee of the UN Security Council today. Your presence here demonstrates the commitment that each one of you and your countries and all other stakeholders from various organizations have shown towards combating the common threat of terrorism. It expresses too our collective resolve at strengthening the multilateral efforts led by the United Nations to address this threat holistically and collectively. Terrorism is a serious threat to international peace and security, indeed to the entire humanity. We have heard the voices of its victims today. Their loss is immeasurable and can never be made up. However, it is incumbent on us as responsible members of the international community to remember their trauma and to persevere in our efforts to bring the perpetrators of terrorism to justice. We owe this to every victim of terrorism across the world. Even as the Mumbai terrorist attacks were unfolding on 28 November in 2008, the UN Security Council met and in one voice condemned this act of cross-border terrorism and said, I quote, "The members of the Council underline the need to bring perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors of these reprehensible acts of terrorism to justice and urged all states to cooperate with Indian authorities in this regard. All acts of terrorism are criminal and unjustifiable regardless of their motivation." Now, in another month, we will be observing the 14th anniversary of these ghastly attacks on Mumbai in November 2008. While one of the terrorists was captured alive, prosecuted and convicted by the highest court in India, the key conspirators and planners of the 26/11 attacks continue to remain protected and unpunished. When it comes to proscribing some of these terrorists, the Security Council has regrettably been unable to act in some cases because of political considerations. This undermines our collective credibility and our collective interests. A key aspect of combating terrorism is to effectively curb terror financing. Today, the Counter-Terrorism Committee will also be hearing from experts on countering financing of terrorism in the local and regional context. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that money is the lifeblood of terrorism. Terrorist organizations require funds and resources to maintain their organizational functioning and undertake activities. The reality that terrorism continues to exist and expand points to an underlying truth that terrorism continues to get the necessary financial resources to thrive. In this regard, therefore, I would like to make 5 points for the committee's consideration. 1. Effective and sustained efforts at countering terror financing is at the heart of the issue of countering terrorism. Normative efforts at the UN need to be coordinated through collaboration with other fora like the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the Egmont Group. 2. We need to ensure that the effective and transparent functioning of the Security Council's sanctions regime and make sure that they are not rendered ineffective for political reasons. Objective and evidence-based proposals for listing of terrorist groups, especially those that curb their access to financial resources, must be seen through. 3. International cooperation and concerted action against terrorists and their sponsors, including through dismantlement of terrorist safe havens, sanctuaries, training grounds, and financial and ideological as well as political support structures, are critical imperatives to defeat this scourge. 4. Terrorism's nexus with transnational organized crime, illicit drugs, and arms trafficking is by now well established. It is important that we recognize these linkages and strengthen multilateral efforts to break them. And 5. Over the years, terrorist groups have diversified their funding portfolio. They have also begun to exploit the anonymity afforded by new and emerging technologies, such as virtual currencies, for fundraising and finances. In this regard, we look forward to the deliberations of the special meeting of the committee tomorrow in New Delhi to provide innovative solutions for the international community to consider. Terrorism may have plagued several regions of the world. We, in India, understand its cost more than others. But with that experience comes the steeling of national resolve. Decades of cross-border terror has not and will not weaken our commitment to fight back. Our real tribute to the victims will be to rededicate ourselves to combating and eliminating the menace of terrorism, and this by stronger determination and joint action. We must rise above our political differences to address this scourge. The battle against terrorism must be fought resolutely at all fronts, all situations, and all places. We cannot be found wanting in our efforts. As the UN Secretary General stated, terrorism is pure evil, one with which we can never compromise. I'm confident that today's briefing on this important aspect of combating terrorism will assist the international community in that direction. I thank you for your attention.
India says no compromise in the fight against terror as the United Nations Security Council chairs a special and crucial terror meet in Mumbai, expressing solidarity with our fight against terror despite the odds. And India stresses on rooting out terror financing and dismantling of terrorist safe havens wherever they can be found. All the major takeaways, we are tracking this story here on Republic. Niranjan, our senior executive editor there, bringing you all the details as they are happening right there. And, well, many disclosures coming up in a short while. But it's time now for a short break. Stay tuned.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper in half a dozen districts of the state, and the refusal thereof is resulting in the rape of their mothers to settle financial disputes on the diktats of caste panchayats. The National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC, has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report in this regard.
The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that in some districts of Rajasthan, the caste panchayats are very active in redressal of disputes, and especially in the matters where somebody has taken a loan and is unable to pay back the loan. So the
You're watching Live and Breaking here on Republic, and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on a visit to forward areas of Ladakh. The Defence Minister launched various developmental projects in the Union territory. He also interacted with soldiers of our armed forces there. Let's listen in to know more details.
ये हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी की भी मंशा है और उसी मंशा के अनुरूप बहुत तेजी के साथ सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों में बुनियादी ढांचों का विकास हो रहा है, और क्योंकि हम ये मानते हैं कि सीमा पर कि हमारे जो गांव हैं वहां रहने वाले लोग केवल एक सामान्य नागरिक तो हैं ही, साथ ही साथ वो हमारे स्ट्रेटेजिक एसेट है। इसलिए सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों का विकास ही आवश्यक है। इसीलिए हमारे बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज डूइंग वेरी वेल, बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है।
सर, ये जो लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, इससे हमारे गांव का विकास भी मुख्य तरह से
स्वाभाविक है। कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ेगी तो गाँव का विकास भी होगा, क्षेत्र का विकास भी होगा।
75 इनॉर्गेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हुए, बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। जैसे आप कह ही रहे थे कि मोदी सरकार का एक सपना है सीमावर्ती क्षेत्रों को जोड़ना, कितनी बड़ी उपलब्धि है आज के दिन?
बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। और 75 से अधिक भी हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स का उद्घाटन, इनका निर्माण बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के द्वारा हुआ है। इसके पहले भी मैं कर चुका हूँ और आज भी 75 का हुआ है और इसी प्रकार आगे भी जल्दी ही आगामी कुछ महीनों के अंदर और बड़ी संख्या में जो हमारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स
ये तमाम योजनाएं चल रही।
And in other news from across the country and the world, the NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to the Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper in half a dozen districts of the state, and the refusal thereof is resulting in the rape of their mothers to settle financial disputes on the diktats of caste panchayats. The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report.
The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that in some districts of Rajasthan, the caste panchayats are very active in redressal of disputes, and especially in the matters where somebody has taken a loan and is unable to pay back the loan. So the caste panchayats force such persons to auction their daughters.
Rajasthan State Commission for Women takes cognizance of reports that minor girls in districts of the state are being sold on stamp paper. Notice issued to Director General of Police and Bhilwara Collector, and immediate action with factual reports sought in 7 days. Meanwhile, BJP slams the Gehlot Sarkar.
21वीं सदी में ऐसा कोई रिपोर्ट आए जिसमें कहा जाए कि बच्चों की नीलामी हो रही है, बेटियों की नीलामी हो रही है, माँ के साथ शोषण हो रहा है, तो राजस्थान सरकार कैसे चुप रह सकती है? इसमें क्या कार्रवाई हुई? अभी तक कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं हुई? कौन है ये लोग? और राजस्थान में लगातार क्यों इस प्रकार की घटनाएं बढ़ती जा रही है? महिलाएं वहां क्यों असुरक्षित है और कांग्रेस नेतृत्व क्यों चुप है? ऐसा लगता है कि राजस्थान सरकार जो है अपने संवैधानिक शपथ को भूल गई है। राजस्थान सरकार जो है वो काम नहीं करना चाहती, केवल राजनीति करना चाहती है। और इस संदेश से ये जो न्यूज़ रिपोर्ट आई है, इससे ये चिंता बढ़ रही है।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal writes to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to include photos of Hindu goddess Lakshmi and god Ganesha on currency notes in a letter, stressing that he has made an appeal on behalf of 130 crore Indians. Cyberabad police to approach High Court in poaching case challenging the ACB court's order. This comes after the court rejected the remand request of 3 of the accused in the MLA's poaching case. BJP leader N. Ramchandra Rao on TRS MLA poaching case says the stand taken by the BJP in this case indicates that all those who are involved in the TRS poaching case are play acting. He further said the drama of the TRS party is exposed now. After Prime Minister's visit to Kargil and Raksha Mantri's visit to Kashmir, AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi hits out at the centre, says both could have gone a few miles to the China border and spoken about the situation there. PLA continues to be in control of our territory there. The national capital's oldest Chhat Puja Ghat ITO has started preparations for the upcoming celebrations and observances under PWD and Delhi Chhat Puja Samiti. MCD officials have also been asked to make sure that sanitation and cleanliness arrangements at the ghats are taken care of so that people can undertake the festivities in a clean environment. And Time now for a short break. Coming up on the other side, India shares evidence of 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai, puts 26/11 complicity of Pakistan and China before the world. Prime Minister Modi attends Chintan Shivir on national security, virtually addresses state home ministers. Billionaire Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter and fired the social media company's 4 top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and legal executive Vijaya Gadde. The deal's closing removes a cloud of uncertainty that has hung over Twitter's business, employees and shareholders for much of the year. The Twitter executives who were fired include Agarwal, Gadde, Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel and General Counsel Sean Edgett.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested one terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized one terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp. And in live and breaking at this hour here in Republic, we get you breaking news in the Coimbatore blast probe. Republic has accessed the FIR copy in the case filed by the National Investigation Agency, the NIA. It's over to Varshini, our correspondent who's been covering this story ever since this broke, to give us all the details. Varshini, what can you tell us? What is written in the FIR? What are the details that we can see there?
Well, definitely we can give you all the details about this FIR that has been filed by the National Investigation Agency. First of all, it is to mention that the day and date is mentioned 27/10/2022 at 1 o'clock. Exactly yesterday in the afternoon when the center, the Ministry of Home Affairs had ordered the NIA to take up this investigation. After that, this FIR has been filed, and many important things are even mentioned in this FIR, where you can see the location of the dead person from this car blast, Jaishankar Mubin's, and whatever was confiscated from his house has also been written. There are so many things that has been mentioned here which the police did not mention so far. It's not just the explosive that was confiscated. It's a lot of things, including potassium nitrate, black powder, a matchbox, cracker fuse length about 2 meters, nitroglycerin, red phosphorus, PETN powder, aluminium powder, Oxy 99 breathe pure oxygen cylinder, sulfur powder, sterile surgical blade, glass marble, 9-volt battery, 9-volt battery clip, wire, iron, nail, switch, etc. There are so many things, and also most importantly, you can see notebooks with details of Islamic ideology and details about jihad. This is also written in this FIR, which is very important to know. These are the things that has been confiscated from the house of Jaishankar Mubin, who died during this blast. Therefore, it was a very clearly planned blast that has taken place in Coimbatore, and
And this is the detail, this is the FAR copy that we have accessed and we have detailed it. We will get you all the other details about this FAR and NI investigation. Stay tuned, we'll come back to you right after a short break.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
In other top international news, gunmen attacked a major Shiite holy site in Iran, killing at least 15 and wounding dozens. The attack comes as protesters elsewhere in Iran marked 40 days since a woman's death in custody ignited the biggest anti-government movement in over a decade. China's foreign minister's spokesperson Mao Ning says they are shocked and strongly condemn the attack on the Shiite holy site in Iran on Wednesday, which killed at least 15 and wounded dozens. A group of protesters gathered outside the British Embassy in Tehran chanting slogans against Western media. The chants singled out the BBC's Persian service as well as Iran International. According to sources, protesters burned prints of the UK and LGBTQ rainbow flags. Billionaire Elon Musk has completed his $44 billion takeover of Twitter and fired the social media company's 4 top executives, including CEO Parag Agrawal and legal executive Vijaya Gadde. The deal's closing removes a cloud of uncertainty that has hung over Twitter's business, employees and shareholders for much of the year. The Twitter executives who were fired include Agarwal, Gadde, Chief Financial Officer Ned Siegel and General Counsel Sean Edgett.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested
BSF has foiled an attempt of Pakistan to smuggle weapons into the Indian territory and have recovered a huge cache of arms and ammunition in the Firozpur sector. It was yesterday evening at around 7 in the evening when the BSF troops that were deployed in the forward area saw a suspected bag, and upon the search they have recovered 3 AK-47 rifles along with the 6 magazines. 3 AK mini rifles, the brand of that is yet to be ascertained, along with the 5 magazines, and 3 pistols along with the 6 magazines have been recovered. The Border Security Force has also recovered a huge cache of ammunition with 200 rounds, 100 rounds of the AK-47 rifles and 100 rounds of the pistol. The pistol is of the Brita made that have been recovered now by the BSF. Pakistan is continuously pushing narcotics and weapons into the Punjab for gangsters and the terrorists so as to destabilize the state, and the events that are happening in the Punjab clearly hints at a larger plot of Pakistan. With Gaurav Sahani, Gursimran Singh for Republic Media Network.
And coming up here on Republic, all the news as India shares evidence of 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai, puts 26/11 complicity of Pakistan and China before the world.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
It's raring for adventure. A fierce hunter. The new breed rises above all others. A new breed of SUVs, the advanced Grand Vitara, rule every road.
And here's a look at what else is making news. The Jammu and Kashmir police on Thursday arrested 1 terrorist of the proscribed terror outfit, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, following a search operation near the Shiri police station of Baramulla. Jammu and Kashmir police have neutralized 1 terrorist in the encounter that took place at Kulgam district. The search operations are still underway. Samajwadi Party leader Azam Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison along with a fine of 2,000 rupees in a hate speech case against the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The Union Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju has written a scathing piece that says that marks the 75th anniversary of the former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's grievous mistakes in integrating Kashmir, for which India and Indians are paying in blood for 75 years. The Defence Minister has made a huge statement on Jammu and Kashmir's accession day, saying that our journey will be complete with Gilgit-Baltistan.
The NHRC on Thursday issued a notice to Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Superfast 50. Let's quickly take you through the top 50 stories making headlines across India and the world. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar paid tribute to martyrs of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. He said that the task of bringing the perpetrators of the attacks remains unfinished, as the main perpetrators of the ghastly terror attack continue to remain protected. India also shared crucial evidence to pin China and Pakistan's role in the attack. Meanwhile, India shared intricate details of the 26/11 terror operations, where crucial evidence of the attack was shared with the world. Pakistan and China's role pinned in the UN Security Council meet in Mumbai. Today, India shared audios from Pakistan-based control room on 26/11. Pakistan Army Major named in evidence also shared.
The key conspirators and planners of the 26/11 attacks continue to remain protected and unpunished. When it comes to proscribing some of these terrorists, the Security Council has regrettably been unable to act in some cases because of political considerations. This undermines our collective credibility and our collective interests.
China's role also pinned in UN Security Council meet in unleashing terror in Mumbai on 26/11. Tech-backed evidence shared. India shows proof of how 5 mobiles used in the attack had come from China. India also shares evidence on Sajid Mir with an audio message. Mir was recently blocked from being designated a global terrorist by China. At the UNSC meet, India highlights the role of terrorist Masood Azhar in executing a dozen terror strikes, and how Pakistan did not arrest the deadly terrorist Masood Azhar. India tells the world that FATF grey listing of Pakistan helped control terror, and that even before Pakistan's white listing, the talk of removal from the grey list had led to a spike in terror activities. India wants a review of grey listing mechanisms in light of these facts, and India tells the world that FATF mechanisms need to be more professional. India raises issue of targeted killings of Kashmiri Pandits in the Kashmir Valley. Says abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir helped control terror. 14 years since the terror attacks in Mumbai orchestrated by Lashkar-e-Taiba left 166 dead and 238 injured. Victims and their families share the horror of that day, of those days, and tell how the ghastly attack changed their lives forever. Talking about terror financing, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar says one of the key aspects of combating terrorism is to effectively curb the finance, as money is the lifeblood of terrorism. He adds, the reality that terrorism continues to exist and expand points to an underlying truth, that terrorism is getting the required financial resources. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken also paid his tributes to martyrs of the 26/11 attacks. He added that such heinous crimes will not be tolerated.
As we mark 14 years since the horrific attacks of November 26th, we join people in India and around the world in mourning the lives lost. 141 Indians, 6 Americans, and victims from 15 other countries from every region of the world, as well as many Mumbaikars, Americans, and others wounded, with scars visible and invisible. We stand in solidarity with the people of India and all nations that lost people on that day.
In other news, the National Human Rights Commission issued a notice to the Rajasthan government over reports that girls are being auctioned on stamp paper in half a dozen districts of the state. And the refusal thereof is resulting in the rape of their mothers to settle financial disputes on the diktats of caste panchayats. The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report in this regard.
The National Human Rights Commission has taken suo motu cognizance of a media report that in some districts of Rajasthan, the caste panchayats are very active in redressal of disputes, and especially in the matters where somebody has taken a loan and is unable to pay back the loan. So the caste panchayats force such persons to auction their daughters on stamp paper, and if they deny so, the wife of that person is subjected to sexual assault and rape.
Rajasthan State Commission for Women has taken cognizance of the reports that minor girls in districts of Rajasthan are being sold on stamp paper. A notice has been issued to the Director General of Police and Bhilwara Collector, and immediate action with a factual report has been sought within 7 days. Meanwhile, the BJP has slammed the Gehlot government over the issue.
21वीं सदी में ऐसा कोई रिपोर्ट आए जिसमें कहा जाए कि बच्चों की नीलामी हो रही है, बेटियों की नीलामी हो रही है, मां के साथ शोषण हो रहा है, तो राजस्थान सरकार कैसे चुप रह सकती है? इस पे क्या कार्रवाई हुई? अभी तक कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं हुई? कौन है ये लोग? और राजस्थान में लगातार क्यों इस प्रकार की घटनाएं बढ़ती जा रही है? महिलाएं वहां क्यों असुरक्षित है? और कांग्रेस नेतृत्व क्यों चुप है? ऐसा लगता है कि राजस्थान सरकार जो है अपने संवैधानिक शपथ को भूल गई है। राजस्थान सरकार जो है वो काम नहीं करना चाहती, केवल राजनीति करना चाहती है, और इस संदेश से ये जो न्यूज रिपोर्ट आई है, इससे ये चिंता बढ़ रही है।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for including photographs of Hindu goddess Lakshmi and Hindu god Ganesha on currency notes in a letter. He has stressed that he has made an appeal on behalf of 130 crore Indians. An RTI response has shown that the Delhi government under Arvind Kejriwal granted the Delhi Waqf Board more than 101 crore rupees of public funds in the last 7 years. In just the past year, the AAP government granted the Waqf Board more than 62 crore rupees. The BJP has slammed the Kejriwal government, saying the Chief Minister is trying to appease people ahead of polls. Amid the poaching controversy in Telangana, Rahul Gandhi has waded into the row now, saying both the TRS and the BJP are two sides of the same coin. Rahul Gandhi added that the work of both these parties is to buy MLAs and topple governments.
हमारे लिए टीआरएस और बीजेपी एक ही चीज है। ये एक ही सिक्के के दो भाग हैं और ये दोनों एक साथ मिलकर काम करते हैं। ये आपको समझने की जरूरत है। ये एक दूसरे की मदद करते हैं। दिल्ली में टीआरएस उनकी मदद करती है और तेलंगाना में बीजेपी इनकी मदद करती है।
And in the TRS MLA poaching case, Hyderabad police are to approach the High Court challenging the ACB court's order. This comes after the ACB court had rejected the remand request of the three accused in the MLA poaching case. BJP leader N. Ramchandra Rao on TRS MLA poaching case said The stand taken by the BJP in this case indicates that all who are involved in the TRS poaching case are play acting. He also said the drama of the TRS party is exposed now. After the Prime Minister's visit to Kargil and Raksha Mantri's visit to Kashmir, AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi has hit out at the centre, saying both could have gone a few miles to the China border and spoken about the situation there. He said the PLA there continues to be in control of our territory. The national capital's oldest Chhat Puja Ghat, ITO, has started preparations for the upcoming Puja under PWD and Delhi Chhat Puja Samiti. MCD officials have also been asked to make sure that sanitation and cleanliness arrangements at the Chhat Ghats are taken care of so that people can undertake and celebrate in a clean environment. And after BJP functionaries, now a BJP leader, a minister, is seen seeking the blessings of rape convict Gurmeet Ram Rahim. BJP Minister Bikram Singh Thakur of Himachal Pradesh bowed before Gurmeet Ram Rahim and sought his blessings. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has sought NSG Centre at Pathankot. Mann highlighted the Dinanagar attack and the Pathankot airbase attack during a conference in this regard. He also raised a demand with Union Home Minister Amit Shah to put Punjab in Category A as far as security reasons are concerned, due to having borders, especially the western borders, with Pakistan. In a shocking incident of road rage reported in the national capital, a man was seen running over residents at Delhi's Alipur. Reportedly, 3 people were injured in the incident. A massive fire broke out in Jammu's Kishtwar today. At least 20 homes were completely gutted in the incident. Meanwhile, efforts to douse the fire are underway. 3 unaccounted for idols have been seized from a temple in Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu. The idol wing CID police conducted a search at Pannaka Parameshwar temple in Nagapattinam after receiving a tip-off about the 3 idols. The BSF today recovered a huge cache of arms and ammunition from the Indo-Pak border in Punjab. The arms consignment was dropped by drone from across the border. 3 AK-47 rifles, 6 empty MAGs, 3 pistols, 6 empty magazines with 200 rounds along with other ammunition was recovered. Veteran actor of Assam, Nippon Goswami's mortal remains reached Napagraha crematorium in Guwahati. The last rites were carried out with full state honours. A 21-gun salute was also accorded to the veteran actor. The row over garbage mountains is only intensifying by the day. Aam Aadmi Party